Welcome to the Real News Extra. My name is Fred. I'm the operations manager here at RELAW APC, and joining me today is Jennifer Felten, the principal and founder of RELAW APC. So Jennifer, for our case of the month, why did the court rule in favor of the neighbors instead of the developer in the Woodcrest Covenant battle?
Yes, so this case is actually from North Carolina.
Okay.
But I think it's an interesting case and really gives us an eye into how the government and restrictive covenants really affect title to property. So, and in North Carolina, just like in California and most of the country, there's not enough housing. And so there's been changes in housing laws to allow bigger, broader development.
Right.
In this case, the developer was entitled, right? They were able to get approval to build a multi-structure, multi-unit property.
Okay.
But so they'd met all the city, county, state requirements, and they had permits.
Right.
But the property had a restrictive covenant on it. So a restrictive covenant is a private agreement. And so primarily those come from when you build an HOA, things like that. When someone grants property, maybe they restrict the use of water or they restrict things, right? So this had a restrictive covenant that limited the use to single family structures.
Okay.
So instead of being able to build this multi-unit, multi-story project under this restrictive covenant, they could, the size of this property, they could build 2 houses.
Right.
So you have 2 houses or
A big
20
giant.
houses.
Right.
So the neighbors want, most of the time, and in this case, they don't want this
20.
monstrosity
Right.
of an apartment building in their neighborhood. And so the neighbors, 87 of them, he sued 87 neighbors who were all part of this restrictive covenant to try and get the restrictive covenant removed, because his argument was, I can legally build this. And the judge said, no, like, these people bought with the understanding that this was the
Right.
restriction, and so you're bound by this restriction. So the court upheld the restrictive covenant.
So how can private covenants override city zoning reform as well as housing goals?
Right. I mean, from a government standpoint, the concept of broader housing is very important. It's a huge
Right.
issue in California,
Right.
and in other states, because we don't have enough housing, and definitely not enough affordable housing. But we have property owner rights. So if you take away this covenant, you're taking away someone's rights as well. They bought based upon that covenant. So we see this a lot, right? And you'll see this happen with things like neighborhoods creeping, and now all of a sudden,
Right.
what was, agricultural land and there's a pig farm is now next to a subdivision, and now the subdivision's trying to get the pig farm moved.
That's
right?
been there for
100 years.
Yes.
So we fight these battles as society of who should have rights, and so all of these are questions that, if agreement can't be made, that a court's going to decide.
Okay. What are some lessons learned that real estate professionals and buyers can learn from this case, especially about reviewing title reports?
Right. So this covenant was on title, right? It was a recorded covenant. And so when you're going to buy a property, if you plan to develop it, you plan to do something, make sure you read the title report and you see what's on there and understand. Get an attorney if you need to,
Right.
to say, I want to build this. Am I going to be able to? Or is there something here that's going to limit my ability to do what I want to do? And you can make the choice of whether you want to try to fight something or not, but at least you're buying with
Right.
that knowledge. So understand that title report is way broader than just what the liens are and the taxes are on the property. It tells you what you can and can't do, and you need to think about it. I've had this happen a lot. People want to build a pool, right? And they think there's plenty of space for a pool,
Right.
but they didn't go pull and look at the easements, and there's electrical line easements or sewer easements or things like
Yeah.
that, and they can't build a pool, and they're all upset. And like, you knew about it, right? You may not have known about it, but you knew about it.
It was there.
These things are part of owning a property and are things you need to think about.
Right. Well, thank you. And thank you for watching the Real News Extra. If you're enjoying this content, I invite you to click on like or subscribe. And of course, ring that little bell for future notifications. My name is Fred. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.